Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 biggest SpaceX explosions.
No, it wasn't normal at all.
For this list, we're looking at the most dramatic and visually spectacular SpaceX explosions, or Rapid Unscheduled Disassemblies. Elon Musk's spacecraft and satellite company has achieved incredible successes, learning from bold and often destructive testing. You can't make an omelet without breaking eggs. All of these rockets are uncrewed, so sit back, relax, and watch stuff go boom. Would you head to Mars on SpaceX's Starship? Why or why not? Tell us in the comments. Number 10. SN1 Pressure Test. Designed to transport people to the Moon and to Mars, SpaceX's Starship has undergone numerous iterations. The first full-size prototype, the Mk1, blew its top during a cryogenic proof test in November 2019. In February the following year, SN1 also blew apart during a pressure test near Boca Chica, Texas. You can see the midsection implode as it's thrown into the air. Musk wasn't discouraged, tweeting, "We'll just buff it out," and "Where's flex tape when you need it?" Subsequently, SN2 was built as a half-size test tank and passed its pressure test, but due to some leaky valves, SN3 went the same way as SN1. Number 9. Booster Blast. Musk founded SpaceX in 2002 with the aim of reducing the cost of space transportation in order to one day colonize Mars.
The long-term aspiration is to develop the technologies necessary to transport a large number of people and cargo to Mars in order to create a self-sustaining civilization there. And that's really why I started the company.
SpaceX's Falcon 9 launch vehicles, which return to Earth for reuse, have been crucial to that plan. But those vertical landings aren't easy to pull off. After a commercial resupply mission to the International Space Station in April 2015, this Falcon first-stage booster attempted to land on SpaceX's drone ship. Just read the instructions. Unfortunately, a throttle valve became stuck as it came in. For a moment, it looks like the booster has a chance until it slowly topples over. Making the explosion even more epic, the camera is knocked over. A collapsed landing leg in January 2016 created a similarly breathtaking fireball. Number 8. SN4 Engine Test. SpaceX's Starships are powered by the company's powerful Raptor engines. But even when the engines fire as planned, something can still go wrong. SN4 had more luck than SN1 and SN2, passing cryogenic tests as well as static fire tests. However, after another engine test in May 2020, well, poof!
I'm okay. Yep.
As you can see, the whole thing goes up in an instant. Apparently, this was due to the failure of the ground support equipment's quick disconnect system. It's too bad, but on the other hand, every failure is a learning opportunity. And boy, are the explosions fun to watch! Number 7. SN10 Delayed Reaction. Never count your chickens. In March 2021, SpaceX conducted a high-altitude flight test with Starship SN10. The first launch was aborted after one enthusiastic engine produced way too much thrust. The second, however, was a success.
3, 2, 1, ignition. We got liftoff.
SN10 soared through the skies, performed a belly flop, and landed. A little harder than expected. The legs were damaged, and while all seemed well at first, 8 minutes later, boom!
Thank y'all very much. That was very exhilarating. Oh, it just blew up! Oh my god, dude! Oh, God!
The force of the explosion hurls the rocket back into the air with flames boiling up around it. It hits the deck hard, disintegrating upon impact. Rest in peace, SN10. Number 6. Booster Carnage. As in a previous entry, this booster had been part of a commercial resupply run to the ISS and was attempting to land on Just Read the Instructions. As it attempted to land in January 2015, its descent was far from vertical. The booster featured the first use of grid fin control surfaces for steering, but the fins had run out of hydraulic fluid. This one makes our list for the way the booster suddenly careens out of the dark and across the landing platform, leaving a fiery trail of carnage in its wake. Miraculously, the ship was apparently fine. but the equipment on deck, not so much. Number 5. SN 7.1 Pressure Test. SpaceX pushes their rockets hard, collecting valuable data from every test. In fact, some explosions are intentional. In June 2020, SN7 was pushed to failure during cryogenic testing. It was torn apart, and vast clouds of nitrogen rolled across the test site. The next iteration, SN 7.1, was similarly pushed beyond its limits in September. The tank's bulkhead burst open, spewing a fountain of nitrogen that cascaded down and swirled around it. To be honest, it's actually kind of mesmerizing. Number 4. F9R Dev-1 SELF-DESTRUCT. In the early 2010s, SpaceX designed 2 Falcon 9 prototypes for testing, the low-altitude Grasshopper and its successor, the F9R Dev. A test flight in August 2014, however, brought a fiery end to the F9R Dev-1. The rocket completed several successful flights and landings that year, but on its 5th flight, a blocked sensor brought the prototype off its flight path and it automatically self-destructed.
A few seconds later, the sonic boom. It shook homes and scared residents in the small town of McGregor. They've heard the liftoffs before many times from SpaceX, but this one was different.
What makes this footage so dramatic is the graceful arc of the rocket as it rises, spins, and abruptly explodes, raining down debris over SpaceX's test site in McGregor, Texas.
It scared me. I thought somebody wrecked into the house or something.
It was that loud?
It was that loud.
Number 3. Starship Orbital Test Flight. The bigger they are, the bigger they explode. In April 2023, SpaceX launched an orbited test flight using Ship 24 atop Booster 7, a super heavy booster that contains 33 Raptor engines. The tallest and most powerful rocket in history, it had a successful liftoff but failed to enter orbit. The spacecraft failed to separate from the booster, and the whole thing came tumbling back down. In a flash of fire, its autonomous flight termination system activated, and the remains streaked back down to Earth.
I do want to remind everyone that everything after clearing the tower was icing on the cake.
Despite the spectacular explosion, it was widely regarded as a more or less successful test.
As we promised, an exciting end to the Starship inaugural integrated test flight.
Number 2. SN9 PLUMMET. Perhaps rockets capture our imagination not only for their power and possibilities, but also for just how impossible they seem. How can something so heavy take to the skies? Well, gravity won its tussle with Starship SN9. The test flight in February 2021 went smoothly at first, but as the ship attempted to flip into a vertical position, one of its Raptor engines didn't ignite. The crash feels like it happens in slow motion as the massive craft plummets down towards SpaceX Starbase in Boca Chica, Texas.
2 engines, flip the vehicle vertical, then transition to 1 engine for the landing burn.
The explosion echoes as the craft is torn apart in a ball of fire.
And again, we've just got to work on that landing a little bit.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into Settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1. SN8 Fireball. What could top the explosion from SN9? Well, in our estimation, the previous Starship, SN8, had already done so. Launched in December 2020, SN8 climbed to an altitude of 7.8 miles over the Gulf of Mexico. As it attempted to land, it came in way too fast due to an issue with the fuel system. You can see just how hard the impact is as the ship crumples into the ground. Fire races out to engulf the closest camera. The shockwave from this explosion got SpaceX in trouble with the Federation Aviation Administration. Musk was upbeat, however, noting that SpaceX had gotten, quote, all the data they needed. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.